Hello, my name is Miss Joanne, and I'm a teacher with 6 weeks to 12-month-old infants. I've been doing that for about 20 years, and about 15 years ago I attended a training like this one, and I was introduced to sign language for babies. It got me really excited. At the time, the person who was known for sign language with babies was Dr. Joseph Garcia. And we ended up getting this book, which has been very helpful. It has a lot of the signs in it and talks about how to get started. This book is kind of old now. It was about 2000 that it came out. Now you can go online and find a lot of resources for sign language for babies. One of the ones recently that I've been using is called Start ASL. And they have a lot of good articles, especially articles that are helpful to share with parents, because you want to involve your parents with this as well. When I started out, I had no experience with sign language, so I was teaching myself. It's easy to learn. You don't want to learn a lot of signs at first because you don't want to overwhelm the infants. So I decided, well, why do I even want to teach sign language to babies? And what I learned in that class is that sign language is, of course, a means of communication, and babies don't have words yet. So by teaching them basic signs, you can lessen the frustration in your classroom. They can communicate to you in ways besides nonverbal ways. I found out also that using sign language doesn't delay speech. It actually enhances it. What is also found by most people, they understand that a baby's ability to use the muscles of their hands develop much sooner than the muscles needed for speech. So the question is, when do you start sign language in your class? I have babies as young as 6 weeks. I don't really sign with them. Generally, it's understood that you want to start anywhere from 4 to 6 months. 6 months is kind of ideal because the child can usually sit up unassisted. So some of them as young as 5 months can do that. If you sit them up, they can stay on their own. And the advantage to that is that they can use their hands because they're sitting unassisted, and they can see you better. So if you're signing to them from a few feet away, they have a better vision of what you're doing and they can see your hands. So you're starting to introduce signs anywhere from 6 to 9 months. At that time, you'll be signing to them, but they probably won't really be signing back to you until more along the lines of 7 to 12 months. In my own personal experience, I see that the most common signs are reflected back to me for 10, 11 months. By 12 months, many of them are signing milk or more, which are the most common signs that I use in my infant room. The thing about sign language, it's sort of like speech. They'll understand what you're saying with your signs. The receptive language is going to be developed. They'll know what you're saying possibly with the signs at 6 to 9 months, but they won't really have that expressive language, like they don't have words for a while. They won't be able to sign back to you probably until that 9 to 12 month window. My children graduate out of my room at 12 months, but when you're using this with older infants like 12 to 24 months, you sort of follow the same procedures. Of course, with them, they can move around, so it's great. They have much more command of their hands. So what at that point you can do is just expand the vocabulary, and we'll talk about that later. So then, how do you get started? Well, you want to learn some basic signs, which I'll talk about in a bit. The thing about signing is you want to sign often. You want to sign consistently, use the signs the same way. I recommend that you use American Sign Language signs. There are some programs, like this poster is a program that's sort of geared to baby sign language, but some of the signs aren't exactly ASL. They're easier probably for the child to do. I just like using ESL because it's universal. It's going to be something that they could use later on out in the real world and know what the signs mean. So be consistent, sign often and during the day, and sign before during, and sometimes even after the action is going on. So if you're signing milk, which this is milk, like milking a cow, you would do it before you offer the bottle, while you're feeding, and even you could talk about the milk after and sign. So you're doing it before and during and sometimes after the action. So the signs that I recommend, and you can choose your own, but the things that seem to work the best for infants are signs that are need-based and high impact. So things that they do throughout the day that are important to them. So of course, for me and for most babies, the most important thing is going to be milk. So it's like milking a cow. So like I said, you can offer, say for instance, I have a child who's 10 or 11 months old. I may tell them, Hazel, would you like some milk? I'll be warming up her bottle. And then she might look over at me and she might not know what I'm talking about. But eventually, when I show her the bottle, say, Hazel, are you ready for your milk? And she'll probably crawl over to me because she wants her bottle, and I'll pick her up. And as I'm feeding her, I can also be signing, oh, the milk is so good. Or when we're done, that milk was good, and you're signing. So you're doing it before and during the event. That one they pick up very fast, and it's easy to do. And it only uses one hand. So that's a good sign to start with. Another one that I do after that is eat. And eat is like putting food to your mouth. Very simple sign. It only uses one hand, so also very easy to do. That one you can use the same way. You're getting ready to offer the food. You're talking about we're going to eat. They're at the table. You're feeding them. Eat. And then afterwards you can even talk about, oh, you ate. Oh, it's good. The next sign that we do is more. And more is putting your fingers together. Now, the children may not always sign back to you the correct way. It seems like a lot of times I see them do this for more, or they're just like pounding their fingers, or they get the signs confused because they're similar. But it's just like speech. If they're trying to make that sign, and you know that they're trying to say more, you just tell them, yes, more, and you show them the right sign. You don't correct them, of course. You just emphasize what the curriculum is and model that. Another good sign to use, also needs-based, because it has to do with food. If you're feeding them, you can tell them, are you all done? So hands up, all done. And you can do that when you're feeding them at the table. You can see that they're starting to get uninterested in the food, pushing it around. You can ask them, all done? And eventually they may do that back to you. They'll probably throw food on the floor as well, but you're still showing them a way to communicate besides the nonverbal way. More signs that I use in my room, those are the four main ones, besides drink. Drink is also good if you're feeding them water. You do like a cup, and you put it to your mouth like you're drinking. So that's drink. The other two that I use in my room that are, to me, high impact and help in the whole atmosphere of my room are gentle, which is you stroke your arm like you're going to pet an animal. And that's very helpful for infants that are close to each other, that like to touch each other, or are touching you in a way that's rough and gentle, soft and gentle. We do that a lot. And with sign language, you can make your voice, the sound of your voice, expressive to the sign. So gentle, let's be soft and gentle. And then another sign that's good to use is stop. And you can also use expressive language with that, because if you see them in a situation where they shouldn't be doing something, instead of saying no, which as preschool teachers we know that the word no should be used very sparingly when there's a danger situation, because it loses its meaning and its impact. So you can say stop. You can have an emphatic hand gesture with an emphatic tone of voice. So as the children graduate, I suppose, out from my room to the 12-month room, they go from the 12 to 18-month rooms and then 18 to 24. So in the second year, you can just introduce more signs. You can introduce signs that are a little more abstract, like please and thank you. I'm sorry. These are good ones for communicating, and they're more in the toddler or infant sort of way, and they're more interacting with their peers. Those are good signs. Also signs like help, so they can tell you, the teacher, if they need help. Also, say you're in a play situation and a child wants a ball, didn't really have that word, you could use the sign for ball. Or they want you to read a book. They don't really know how to say that the book is not available to them, it's not down at their level, they can't just pick it up and bring it to you. They may sign book. So you as a teacher will know the sorts of things you want to use in your classroom as you get a little older, what makes sense for you. If you have a theme-based thing going on where you want to do animals, we've done dog or cat or fish, things like that. In conclusion, sign language is fun. It's fun for the kids. It's something they can grasp and do earlier than speech, so it's helping their communication. It's not delaying language because you're always saying the word when you're signing. So you're doing both. You're reinforcing language with sign language. Like I said, it's fun and easy to do, and Miss Laura is going to be telling you about how she uses sign language in her 2-year-old class.
Hi, I'm Miss Laura, and I'm the teacher of the older 2s, younger 3s. And the reason why I use sign language in my classroom is from an experience I had at a church. When I was younger, there was a little girl who did not know how to speak. And when she would try to get our attention, she would pinch us. And as well, if we did not understand, she would get so frustrated, she would throw tantrums. So I took it upon myself going to the library and finding books about sign language. So I started learning a little bit of phrases and words. When I started signing to her, her face lit up and she had the biggest smile on her face. I also saw a change in her attitude. She would get less frustrated, and we also got less pinching. So with this wonderful experience I had with this child, I use sign language in my classroom to help my nonverbal children. With my nonverbal children, I saw them and they would get a little bit of frustration, and they would also push, pinch, and hit and pull hair. So I started showing them some phrases. Like, for example, if they wanted water, they would sign water. If they want more of food or more water, they would sign more. And if we're going to be doing a table activity, I will sign to them, please sit. I also use thank you and bye. And if we're going to be doing a table activity, I will sign to them, please sit. This will help my nonverbal children learn how to communicate with the teachers and his or her peers. Now, in the beginning with my nonverbal children, I would see them get frustrated when they wanted something. So they would hit the children, push them, or pull hair. So I started working with them. And now versus now, I see them and I see they don't get as frustrated. They understand the signings, and also they understand their friends' feelings. And also the children start looking at the child and getting their vibes and feeling, and they see that the child needs to have like a little step back, and also they want to play with the children, and so they just read his or her emotion, which is amazing. I am so happy and blessed to be teaching these wonderful children here at the Learning Center. And I hope to keep on learning more phrases and more signs. And I would like to learn how to communicate more with my nonverbal children. Have a blessed day. God bless you.
Hi, I am Miss Sam, and I work with Concordia, and I cannot wait to do my segment of ASL. ASL is American Sign Language, and as you've heard from my peers, you can adapt it from infancy up. And we are going to talk about the benefits of classroom management with ASL. For those of you who do not think you can learn another language, don't worry, it's easy. If you want to bring it into your classroom but not use it as a lesson, you can just use top 3 cores, which is stop, help, and hurt. And those will change your classroom amazingly. It will help you gain control without having to verbalize loudly. It will allow you to do a quick movement and continue on your lesson and help your children or know if they need anything. ASL is wonderful in the classroom. As you've heard with the infants all the way up, it brings them self-confidence, it helps them cognitively, and it also helps them to use their emotions. My top 3 have always been stop, hurt, and help, because that way I know what's going on in my room and I can keep teaching. Other teachers like to use different core signs, and you get to choose what's best for your classroom management. Stop is one of mine I use every single day, all day, which is why it's my top core. Other teachers like to use yes, no, and wait in their top cores. You can pick and choose if you want like 3 top core signs or 8 top core signs. You can have as many as you want. The top core signs are just signs you're going to use every day that you're teaching with. It's different from actually teaching ASL. This is just classroom management signs to help you through your day. I like to do communication signs too. Communication signs are, as we said, yes, no, wait, restroom, or if they really, really need to go, restroom. Sometimes children like to do it with the R, restroom. T is for toilet. So they are both the same, depending on how the child can hold their fingers. And that allows you to know, okay, you can go to the restroom. Yes, please don't have an accident. Then there is water. I need some water. Thirsty. I need a drink because I am thirsty. There's, doesn't matter. We're going to move on. We're going to have a great day. We're going to let everything go because it doesn't matter. Or hungry, because the child can get hungry and sometimes they can't articulate to you, I'm hungry and I need to eat. But if they come and show you they need something in their stomach, then you can help them and guide them, get them a glass of water or a snack, and you'll know what's going on. Those are classroom communication signs. And I like the classroom communication signs because now you're not just doing core signs, you're teaching signs that are going to really build connections for you and your class. Peers can also tell each other, yes, you can share my toy with me. No, I'm using this. You need to wait. Can you please wait? And they can also connect with each other that way. When we're doing ASL in the classroom, a lot of questions are, do I have to teach and learn all this myself? No, you do not have to teach and learn it all yourself. Little by little, you can add in signs you like to know or signs that your children like to know. Emotions are very good at communications, especially when the littler ones can't tell you necessarily how they feel, or if a child is just so upset they can't get the words out. Mad, frustrated, angry is one of my favorite ones to use because I'm just mad and frustrated and I'm trying to talk to you and my words aren't coming out, but I'm mad and frustrated, and if I do this now, you know I'm mad and frustrated, and you can help me take the next steps to calm my body. I can become happy. Or mommy and daddy just laughed. You know I'm sad. You can make those connections. I'm sad. And those connections with those emotions and the signs will allow you to be able to know exactly what is going on with this child without them being able to verbalize it to you. I'm scared. I'm worried. I didn't see mommy yesterday and she didn't drop me off. It was daddy because maybe a parent's not there or something. Well, I didn't know that until I asked questions. And if they don't have the verbal answers and they just tell me I'm scared, well, now I can start digging deeper and finding out what exactly is going on. I use extras in my daily learning. I'm tired because sometimes a child can be tired from playing, and now I know why they're frustrated or angry, because they're tired. Or it's nap time and we need to sleep. I see you standing there. I need you to stop, please. It's time to sleep. The lights are off. We're going to go play, and we're going to play nice with our friends. When we use ASL in the classroom, it brings a management to your room that you may have not had before. I use it in my all overall curriculum in my everyday teaching. I don't just do it for a portion of the day. I do it all day long. My children have come to know ASL as a way for them to better communicate with me, and I don't have 12 children yelling at me all at once. I may have several children showing me different signs. This is question. See, I have a question, they'll hold it up. If they have the answer, they'll show me A and hold it up. And that way I can, okay, you have a question, go ahead and now ask me your question because I have time for that. Or I can point to that child and tell them, wait a second, because I'm not ready to get to questions. And they'll put their hands down, and we've just went on with the whole lesson without having to interrupt and, okay, we need to stop. Do you have a question? Do you have an answer? Oh, okay. And then next one and next one. This way, I taught my whole lesson. I've given responses, and I've been able to continue speaking about what we're learning. And my management, my classroom keeps us very leveled, and we get done on time typically and get to move on to the next lesson. I know a lot of teachers say, well, I have to learn a whole new language. It's not learning a whole new language. Yes, ASL is American Sign Language. That is a language that you're learning, but you don't have to learn it to teach it. You can learn with it. I learned with it over the past few years, and it has helped me grow as a teacher so much, because teaching with ASL has allowed for my communication in my classroom to be better, my management skills to be better, and it's allowed the children to open their minds in ways that just really makes them grow. It connects cognitive, they're using fine motor skills because they're using their hands. They're using gross motor because sometimes you got to use your whole body to express stuff. The benefits in your classroom, whether you want to just use core signs for management purposes, or if you want to use ASL as a whole, either way you go are going to benefit you. So you get to think about, am I going to use this in my curriculum? I typically, if I use it in my curriculum, I introduce it at circle time. The children are so excited because for a week we get 3 new ones, and the 3 new ASL signs allow them to broaden their vocabulary in the ASL world. And they're so excited to learn the next new one. And they'll even try to catch me off guard. Like, please and sorry are very close together. Please is open palm and you rub it in a circular motion. And I'm sorry is very close. So they'll try to like see if I'm paying attention to which one they're doing. They have some fun with it. So when using your hands, and and using your words, the children connect things better. And when they connect things better, their cognitive part of their brain is opening up and allowing them to get the full message. I'm learning letter A. This is A, apple. There's even a sign for apple. It's the letter A at your cheek. Apple, apple. So I have now taught them a letter and a sign, apple. And they can correspond A, apple. If you're not using it in your curriculum, you can just use the benefits of classroom management. Stop. We need to play nice with our friends, and build up your core communication to whichever ones you would like to do. You can't go wrong. There's always thank you, please, sorry, hurt. I like to typically have visuals up in my classroom so my children can come, and if they have not yet learned the sign, because some of them are newer or they just don't have the finger muscle skills yet, they can point love, and I will go and I will say, oh love, I love you too. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy too. It makes me happy. I'm tired. I'm tired, and they can point to whichever sign they need to show me, and I will work with them and help them build that tool they need. A lot of parents come back and say, my child keeps showing me this sign and I'm not sure what's going on. And I'm like, well, this means they want to eat. They're hungry, they want to eat. And they're like, oh, well, we always do it during dinner time. That's all. They're corresponding at home now, showing their parents they want to eat or they want some water to drink. So they will take the lessons they've learned from you and use them at home. It helps, especially when children have siblings, especially younger ones, because if they're taking home different signs they're using and their younger sibling is not articulate with words yet, they'll gradually teach these signs to their siblings naturally because it's a part of them now. It's like riding a bike. You can never not remember ASL. Once you start getting back into it, it just flows from you. The alphabet. We're going to move into the alphabet of ASL. One of the big questions is, I have to learn all those letters? No, you don't. No, you don't. I typically will get my alphabet letters ready. I thought I had one here to show you, but I have just my emotions. When you're doing the alphabet, you can incorporate in circle time. As I told you, the A, apple. You don't have to actually learn those letters yourself because you're going to just be teaching it in circle time. So it's pretty much out of sight, out of mind. You've used it, you put it away, you go to the next letter. Kind of like when we just teach the alphabet. A is A, B is B, C is C. I don't have to memorize it to use it. I can just use it as a learning tool for the child to connect it, and then we go on. Over the years, though, after doing it so many times, you're going to just naturally learn, oh, it's A, it's B, it's C. I love the alphabet. I love see it, say it, sign it, because see it, say it, sign it really does help the children. There are a lot of learning tools for you to help the children as well. We'll post some of those little links too. Jack Hartman does a lot of great ASL videos for technology time if you want to correspond those in your lesson plans. I typically like Jack Hartman because he's fun, he's entertainment, and it always goes with the song, and it gets stuck in your head, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna see it, say it, sign it. So Jack Hartman's one I use. There is different tools to use for ASL, whether you use technology or you use the flashcards. I typically like flashcards for my circle time. I like to do technology time for a little bit to allow the children to move their whole bodies and retain it that way, because songs are just so much fun. I love to sing. Thank you so much for sitting in with us on this ASL incorporation. If you have any questions, please let us know. We will do our best to get back and answer with you. I am going to go over a few questions that we've gotten back from peers. Top question is, and I think I did already answer it, do I have to learn ASL to teach ASL? No. No, you don't. You do not. You can just incorporate it in circle time and move on, out of sight, out of mind. If you want to learn it though, it is absolutely interesting to dive in. There have been research studies to show from infancy all the way up to adulthood how ASL helps build not only peer connections but language connections. So there's been a study from Baylor University, if you want to dive into that, really neat about using ASL as early childhood education. Another question that's asked is, do I need to do the core signs you teach? No. Core signs are going to be the signs you feel the best for your class. Some of my peers will just use stop, and that's the only ASL sign that's used, but it helps because if you have two children that are doing one activity and you're trying to help another child, you can get the focus attention. I need you to please stop. I'm talking and I'm teaching right now. I need you to wait. So you can choose however many cores you want. Those are your choice. I've actually been through several different cores until I finally figured out my favorites are stop, hurt, and help. Those are ones we use every day, all day, and it helps me to communicate with the children. So that's why those are my top 3. But your top 3 could look very different. It could be I'm thirsty or hungry or restroom, I really, really need to go. Other questions are, is ASL for all over the world? ASL is American Sign Language, but they're broken down to incorporate around the world. Typically, sign language used with your hands is all general basis. So as you saw earlier, this is happy in American Sign Language, but we also have happy done happy. So it's pretty much the same general idea. I typically do the one hand versus both hands. They're both ASL. One is just geared towards younger children, and one is for adults. I'm happy. ASL transitioning from little children to older children is actually really easy because they're very similar. You go from I want to eat, more eat, to now I'm just hungry. It's an easy transition for them, especially if they've already gotten the fundamental basics down. If they don't have them, it's okay if you're starting off with children that have never been introduced with ASL. ASL for those children can help them in so many different ways because you can teach them, and it's just one sign is all you need to get them started. They're going to use their hands instead of their body. Please stop touching me versus don't touch me. So we're incorporating those signs to build them better communication skills. Other questions that are asked are typically, if I use ASL in my classroom, does that mean I need to speak ASL to somebody who actually needs ASL? No, you do not. It does not mean you are verbal in ASL. It just means you are giving your children tools to be able to communicate. You might not necessarily be able to have a conversation with someone who's actually deaf or unable to speak and say the words they need to say. And that's okay. If you would like to have conversations, you're more than welcome to in-depth your learning. I know I have now been able to help communicate outside of work with people that aren't able to use words. Children with autism or adults with autism typically will do signs, sling signs, I guess you'd call them, because it's not a full sign, it's a part of a sign. And I've learned to be able to talk to them and help express what's going on and what they're feeling. Thank you so much for today, and you have a blessed day. Thank you.